The first danger is smaller than a sword wound. It is a shallow cut across your thumb, made before the workday has truly begun. By sunset, that cut will have touched raw hide, dirty water, lime, sweat, hair, fat, and whatever is coating the floor. Your challenge is simple to describe and difficult to survive. Complete one full week as a new worker in a medieval tannery. Leather is everywhere in medieval life. Boots, belts, harnesses, saddles, pouches, shields, book covers, and the straps holding tools together. But before leather becomes useful, the skin must pass through a chain of wet, corrosive, foul-smelling processes that can damage your body at every stage. Not every medieval tannery used exactly the same recipe. This reconstruction follows methods documented for late medieval English leather production. The tannery stands near running water and below the better streets, where waste can be washed away and the smell travels toward poorer ground. You are paid only if you keep pace. Slow work means lost wages. Careless work can ruin a hide worth far more than your weekly pay. There are no sealed gloves, goggles, rubber boots, or clean changing rooms. Protection means a leather apron, cloth wraps, old shoes, and caution. Day one begins when butchers deliver fresh cattle hides, folded into heavy, slippery bundles that resist every attempt to grip them. Each hide may still carry blood, manure, clotted hair, fat, and pieces of tissue. The first task is not tanning. It is cleaning. You drag the skin toward the water channel. Saturated hide grows heavier, and the wet edge wraps around your ankle like a rope. The stream is moving, but that does not make it clean. Upstream are homes, animals, workshops, and people using the same water for different needs. The safest choice is to work from the cleanest available section and keep drinking water separate from the washing area whenever possible. The hide is beaten, rinsed, turned, and rinsed again. Your shoulders begin to burn before midday, but the schedule has barely started. A small tear in the skin lowers its value, so brute force is not enough. You must control weight, water, and the pull of the current. By afternoon, the floor is coated with water, hair, fat, mud, and scraps. Every step becomes a balance test beside open pits. Falling does not require panic. One backward step, one folded hide underfoot, and your body can drop into a vat deeper than your waist. Day 2 introduces lime. Quicklime has been slaked with water, creating an alkaline mixture used to loosen hair and unwanted tissue. The mixture is useful because it attacks the structure holding hair in place. That same chemistry does not distinguish between hide and human skin. Dry lime dust lifts while the pit is prepared. A gust can carry it into your eyes before you have time to turn away. The correct response is distance. Add small amounts. Work from the upwind side, and use the longest pole available instead of leaning over the mixture. A splash on intact skin may begin as irritation. On cracked skin or inside the eye, the same splash becomes a much more urgent problem. You learn to place a bucket of the cleanest water nearby before the work begins, not after something goes wrong. The hides sink into the pit under their own weight. You push them below the surface with a pole, keeping hands away from the liquid. Speed tempts you to grab a floating corner. The faster method saves seconds and gives the alkaline liquid a direct route inside every crack in your fingers. The hides remain soaking while you carry more weight, sweep the floor, and prepare the scraping beams. The chemical risk continues even when the pit looks still. Day 3 starts with a hide lifted from lime. It is heavier, swollen, slick, and difficult to control with cold hands. You drape it across a rounded wooden beam. Hair faces upward. Your main tool is a broad, two-handled iron knife. The blade is worked across the surface to push away loosened hair. It is not a sword, but the weight and repetition make control harder. Too little pressure leaves hair behind. Too much pressure cuts the hide. A slip toward your wrist can also cut the worker. The master values speed and an undamaged hide. Your body values slower movements. The conflict repeats with every stroke. Hair gathers beneath your feet in wet clumps. Fat makes the floor shine. The danger is no longer only the blade in your hands. A long session bends your back, locks your shoulders, and numbs your fingers. Fatigue changes fine control before you notice it. When the knife catches, your instinct is to force it. The safer choice is to stop, reset the hide, and begin the stroke again. Near the end of the shift, the blade grazes your knuckle. The cut is shallow. That is exactly why it is easy to ignore. You rinse it with the cleanest water available, cover it with fresh cloth, and keep the wrap away from the soaking floor. This is not modern sterile care. It is simply the best barrier you can create between damaged skin and the workshop around you. Day 4 brings a process that makes the tannery famous for its smell. After liming and scraping, some hides need further softening. In some documented traditions, workers use warm mixtures containing dog or bird droppings. Enzymes help remove remaining material and relax the fibers. The method is effective. It also brings your hands close to animal waste, moist organic matter, insects, and splashes from a reused vat. The mixture is not magic poison, and the smell itself is not the whole threat. Contact, damaged skin, and poor hygiene create the real problem. You work with a pole, keep sleeves tied, and avoid wiping sweat with dirty fingers. These small rules cost time, but reduce exposure. A coworker reaches into the vat to free a folded hide. He finishes faster, but his forearm enters the mixture almost to the elbow. You choose the hook. The master notices the delay. Survival in this workplace sometimes means accepting anger now to avoid damage later. Urine also appears in historical tanning and leatherworking recipes, though the exact sequence varied. Its ammonia-rich smell adds another layer to the yard. The air is unpleasant, but an open yard and moving air are safer than a cramped closed room where vapors and heat accumulate. By the 4th evening, the skin on your hands is pale, swollen, and beginning to crack from constant wet work and alkaline contact. The damage is cumulative. No single moment feels catastrophic, yet every new crack creates another path for contamination. Day 5 shifts to the process that actually preserves the hide. Vegetable tanning with crushed oak bark and water. Tannins bind with the hide's proteins and gradually make it more stable. The transformation takes months, sometimes far longer than 1 week. Your job is not to finish leather today. It is to move hides between stronger and weaker pits without tearing them or falling in. A hide saturated with tanning liquor can pull against you like a living weight. Lifting with your back is faster until your back fails. You brace your feet, use a beam as leverage, and ask another worker to take the opposite corner. Cooperation becomes safety equipment. The pits have no rails. Bark paste coats the edges. Looking at the hide instead of your footing is enough to move 1 step too far. If a hide sinks or folds, the long hook is safer than reaching. A lost hide costs money. A lost worker costs the family supporting him. The tannery's water carries hair, lime, organic waste, and bark residue. What leaves the yard does not simply disappear. People downstream may still use that water. The industry protects feet and horses while transferring part of its cost into the river. By day 6, fatigue becomes the main threat, connecting every other hazard. Tired hands slip. Tired eyes miss splashes. Tired feet miss edges. Your back aches from beams and buckets. Your forearms burn from lifting wet skins. The work continues because unfinished hides can spoil. Food is eaten away from the vats if you're cautious. Dirty hands do not touch bread, cups, or your face before rinsing. You protect the small cut again. The cloth is damp, so you replace it. Reusing a filthy wrap would turn protection into another source of contamination. The master sees cloth as lost time and wasted material. You see the only barrier between an ordinary scratch and a serious illness. Medieval workers did not know modern microbiology, but generations of experience could still teach practical rules. Rinse, cover, separate, ventilate, and do not rush. Those rules are imperfect. They cannot make the tannery safe. They can only move the odds slightly in your favor. On the 7th morning, your hands are stiff, your shoulders are sore, and the cut on your knuckle throbs beneath the wrap. A throbbing cut does not prove a deadly infection. It does prove the barrier has failed somewhere, and the week is not yet over. The master assigns one final task: recover a hide folded at the bottom of a bark pit and prepare it for the next stage. The shortest method is to lean across the rim and grab it. Your sore hands make that choice even more dangerous. You step back, secure a rope around the hook, and ask a co-worker to anchor the other end. The slower plan protects both balance and grip. The hook catches. The hide rises, then twists, throwing a sheet of dark liquid toward your face. You turn away, close your eyes, and rinse immediately with the clean water prepared before the task. Preparation buys the seconds panic would waste. The hide is recovered without a fall. The master sees a completed task. You feel the difference between finishing the job and escaping unharmed. You have survived 7 days, but survival does not mean the work left no mark. Cracked skin, pain, exhaustion, and possible infection may follow you home. The finished leather will look clean, strong, and valuable. Nothing on a polished belt reveals the lime, waste, water, and labor behind it. A soldier may trust his boots in mud. A rider may trust a saddle strap. Their survival depends partly on workers whose own risks remain hidden. Your best defenses were not strength or fearlessness. They were distance, clean water, covered cuts, stable footing, long tools, ventilation, patience, and help. So could you survive a week in a medieval tannery? And after learning what the job demanded, would you return for an 8th day?